Okay, I officially adjourn the meeting and turn it over to Bob, our long-distance member from New Mexico. Thank you, Bob.
My pleasure. Let's see if all this hooking up between all different types of things is actually going to work. Hopefully what I see on my screen is not what will come up over here.
And turn your mic back on.
What?
Mike, for the
Turn your mic on. You need the lights on?
Oh, look at that, it works. Technology from a different perspective. In the old days, our bikes were a form of transportation, a form of exercise. It was also meant for socializing with your buddies when you went out riding your bike. Things have changed a little bit. Now, you had better be careful of the person on the bike because they don't really see you. They're so busy on their smartphone that that's what they pay attention to. And if you happen to get in front of them, too bad, you're going to get run over. How many of you here have a laptop that has a touch screen? I personally have never found any good use for the touch screen. Usually when I touch the screen in error, it screws up whatever I happen to be working on. I did find an excellent use for the touch screen. Okay. Mystery solved.
What'd you choose?
This is what you can use your touch screen for.
That cat can take
I don't need this.
Somebody said go get Ken.
Couple of things to watch out if you're doing it. Make sure the cat has had its claws taken care of. And you should be using a screen that's got Gorilla Glass. If not, it won't last long and you won't be able to see anything on the screen. I can tell you this will keep your cat occupied for hours. Our customer service techs keep getting younger every single year. No, I didn't give him the phone to play with. I gave it to him to program. If I have a problem with my smartphone, it's my great-grandson that takes care of it. His eyes are so much better than mine. Smartphones are just as smart as your computer. Problem is, the screen is so small, when we get older, we can't see it anymore. In the old days, the only one on a leash was your dog. We've now become partners. Modern technology, if you're not plugged in, keep your devices charged, they aren't of any use to you. In the airport, you'll always find that they leave one plug uncovered someplace in the airport, and everybody is crowded around it trying to charge their devices. My friends and I hanging out. God help you if this guy stops short. It's going to be one heck of a pileup because nobody is watching where they're going. Hopefully hopefully he is telling the guy in the back what's going on. Otherwise, they're really in trouble. This is called a modern love affair. If they get married, they'll stay that way forever because they never ever talk to each other. And there aren't too many arguments that happen via text. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may update your Facebook page. We have to take care of the important things in life. Called cuddling. I call it an excellent method of birth control. Do you mind if I strap your phone to my forehead so I can pretend that you're looking at me when I'm talking. He hasn't got a clue who's next to him. He's so interested in what's going on the smartphone, he might just as well be there by himself. The morning commute, if the train gets there, they'll get to work. If not, they'll still be sitting there in the same position at night, waiting for the train to come back. 3 old friends getting together. They certainly have a lot to talk about. This is called Thanksgiving dinner. About 8 months ago, I made a drastic change in my house because the kids and the grandkids and great-grandkids, first thing when they get in the door is, "Grandpa, what's the Wi-Fi code?" And as soon as they have it, for the rest of the day, they sit on the couch and they're busy. That's not what I call a visit. So in my house now, when they come over, there's a big basket by the front door. And that's where the smart devices get deposited. We had a little rebellion in the beginning. It didn't last very long. We now actually have visits. We talk together, we play board games together, we do all kinds of things. And this is never what you'd see at my house for Thanksgiving. We actually enjoy the meal before it gets cold. Our generation no longer rings the doorbell. They send you a text message as soon as they get to the house.
Hey Jim, you don't need that bell out front.
Don't need what?
This poor guy,
Doorbell. Oh, yeah.
this poor guy is drowning, and they're all busy doing a video so they can get it sent into CNN. If he drops dead while he's drowning, guess what? That video becomes more important. A new stall in the public bathrooms called a selfie stall.
Male or female, or both?
In this case, that's probably the one that both can use.
Is that approved by Obama?
I haven't asked them lately. This is how kids go out and play nowadays. If you're lucky, they get out far enough to actually get some sun. They exercise their brains, they exercise their fingers, but that's about all that gets exercised. When I was growing up, this is what I was used to, actual exercise. I grew up in the Bronx. We played a lot of stickball, and if you hit it from one manhole cover to the next, that was a home run. Now, again, their fingers and their brains get exercised, and everything else is lacking. Before cell phones and social networks, this is how you knew there was socialization going on. The bikes would be parked outside and the kids would be inside playing. Now that we've had some fun, let's get down to some reality. Mom and pop websites are not always the safest. Judging by the security on your site, I guess you also leave a key underneath the doormat. This means if you visit a lot of the smaller websites, make sure that all of your software, your operating system, and your antivirus is as up to date as at all possible. If not, you could wind up with an infection on your system. Large corporate sites can get infected, but they have the expertise to quickly clean up the infection. Mom and pop sites stay that way almost forever. 90% of all security incidents are caused by PBAC and ID10T errors. It's simple. If you weren't sitting in front of your computer, that link that redirects you to something that will infect you will never ever get clicked on. You're your own worst enemy because it's very easy for people to manipulate you into thinking you're going to get to see something special, or you're going to wind up making some money, or whatever. You are the one that's going to click that button, and if you weren't in front of your computer, that infection would never get to you. No antivirus program is perfect. If you happen to run into something brand new for which there isn't yet any protection, your system is going to get infected. You don't get protection for something brand new till the people in the virus lab have figured out what makes this new thing tick. And once that's done, then the new protection is sent to you. But if you're running into something brand new or a new strain of a virus, you wind up with an infection. For us older folks in this room, that's just about everybody I can see, we are still from the time when your handshake was your bond. If somebody told you they were going to do something, it was something you could rely on. On the internet, you need to be very, very suspicious. You can't be trusting on the internet. If you are, you're going to wind up with all kinds of problems. And on here, you'll see some of the things that you need to watch out for. They'll come to you either through a website, an email, on social networking. Be careful. Trust no one. Verify everything. And you should wind up being safe on the internet. We read about new security breaches almost daily. This particular one came through T-Mobile. And as you can see from here, they got enough information to steal your identity. T-Mobile was nice. They offered us 2 years of free credit monitoring and identity theft protection, free of charge, through Experian. Most people don't realize that Experian and T-Mobile are one and the same company. So one part of the company got infected and got hacked, and the other part of the company is now going to protect you. Almost sounds like Uncle Sam. How many in here use LifeLock? LifeLock just shelled out $100 million to the FTC because what they advertise and what you get are two different things. Most of what you pay for is an insurance policy, so that once you have your identity stolen, the insurance policy kicks in to help you recoup. Nobody can guarantee that your identity is not going to get stolen. Nobody. It can happen to any one of us. Scams and phishing attempts happen all the time. Somebody's always out there figuring a new way to make you think you're going to get something for nothing, and they make it look so legitimate that you're liable to wind up acting on it. In this case, this is an email that I received supposedly from Amazon Prime, and it's got a little descriptive link in here. Click on it, and you wind up getting $100 off anything you purchase from Amazon Prime. Since it's a descriptive link, it doesn't show you the web address where it takes you. It just describes the action. If you hover your mouse on top of any descriptive link, then on the bottom left, you will see where that link is going to take you. And this has nothing to do with Amazon Prime. When that was still a link that you could reach, it asked you a whole bunch of questions. I mean, after all, they're going to give you something for nothing, so the least you can do is to supply them with the information necessary to empty your bank account. Okay, this is what would happen. You will have supplied them all they need to get to your bank and actually empty your bank account. 8 signs that someone has probably stolen your identity. Your bank account shows withdrawals you've never made. You don't get your bills at home anymore. You still get all the junk mail, but the actual bills stop coming to your house. Your checks are being refused by merchants. You receive calls from debt collectors about loans that you've never made. Your credit report contains unfamiliar charges and unfamiliar loans. You receive bills from medical providers for office visits you've never made and probably from doctors you've never heard of. You can't get health insurance coverage because they tell you you have a disease that you know you don't have. You get a notice from the IRS that you filed more than one tax return. They never tell you you have 2 refunds coming. This is also a dead giveaway. If you get that notice from the IRS, your identity has definitely been stolen. and someone is out there making loans in your name, getting new credit cards issued, all kinds of things, you're probably going to wind up having to pay for that stuff. If you no longer need to make a new loan, don't expect to extend your mortgage or go out and get more credit cards. The best thing that you can do is to freeze your credit. You do that by contacting any one of the 3 major credit reporting companies. There's some paperwork that has to be done, and it costs you $5. But once that's accomplished, then nobody can make any loans in your name. No new credit cards, no new loans, no mortgages. You are the only one that can reverse it, so if you actually had to do something, you can still do it, but nobody else can. Once you've frozen your credit, if somebody else tries to make a loan, it's not going to work, okay? So that's the best thing that you can do if you no longer expect to make new loans. There is some paperwork that has to be done to reverse this, but you can do it, nobody else can. Should you have your identity stolen, or you know someone else to whom that's happened, contact the folks at idtheftcenter.org, a nonprofit. They don't charge for their services. The only thing they do is help people recoup who've had their identity stolen. Even using the free version of Avast makes you less of a candidate to have your identity stolen, but as I said before, nobody can guarantee that it's not going to happen to you. By law, we are each entitled once per year to a free credit report from each of the 3 major credit reporting companies. And if you ask for a report in January from all 3 of them, you'll probably have 3 reports all containing just about the same information. The smart thing to do is in January, contact Equifax and get your report. Then in May, get a report from Experian. And in September, get your report from TransUnion. That way, once every 4 months, you'll get a fresh credit report. And if something's going on, you will know about it. It's also a good way of making sure that if you paid off a loan, it's actually been removed from what you still owe. Hollywood Presbyterian Medical Center, not long ago, was hit with CryptoLocker. And CryptoLocker actually encrypts all the information on your computer. Once encrypted, without a key, you have no access to it. CryptoLocker, the hospital was not prepared. They had no backups. They had no choice. They needed to pay. They admitted to sending out $37,000. The truth is probably somewhere between that initial $3.4 million that was asked for and the amount that they admitted to paying to get their key. Without it, all of their patients' records were totally encrypted. They had no way of doing anything except maybe getting new stuff, but that would have all taken too long. Imagine a hospital that doesn't know what problems their patients have. The only way to protect yourself against CryptoLocker or anything similar to it is to, on a regular basis, make image backups. Remember, what's at stake is not the program or the operating system, but all of your personal information, your pictures, your data, your emails, all the personal stuff. That's the part that you can't duplicate unless there's a backup, okay? You can always reinstall the operating system and the programs, but your personal information is what's at risk. On my system, every Sunday, it automatically creates an image backup. What you also need to realize is that CryptoLocker not only encrypts your computer, but will also encrypt any device attached to your computer. Now, my backup is done to an external hard drive, but that external hard drive is never attached to my system while I'm online. Sunday night, when I get finished working, I get off the internet, then I plug in the external device, During the night, the image backup is created, and Monday morning, after the image is finished, I unplug the device, then I go back online. Now if something happens during the week, I just recreate that image. And I have my operating system, all my programs, all my settings, all my pictures, so on and so forth. Everything is back, just like it was. The only thing I would have lost is whatever new stuff happened for the number of days between the last image backup and the time that the infection happened. That's it. That's being prepared. Yes?
Question. Do you have weekly backup? Do you have more than one backup from different periods of time?
I constantly have 5 backups.
Okay.
Okay? When number 6 gets created, the oldest one is eliminated. So I can always go back as much as 5 weeks. Did you have a question?
Yes, please. If you have to pay a ransom,
Mm-hmm.
how do you pay it?
You pay it through Bitcoin with a credit card.
Okay. So uninformed, I didn't even know what Bitcoin was. until I
Bitcoin is
saw
just
it.
a different form of money that somebody's invented, which is universal. Okay?
I didn't even know that.
Yep. But you're talking about not $1 or $2, you're talking about hundreds to thousands of dollars in order to get access to it again. Uncle Sam has gotten to the point where when somebody calls them to say, hey, it's been infected, what do? Their answer is simple. Pay the ransom. Okay? Gives you an idea. Your best defense is a good offense. If you aren't prepared for a disaster before it happens, it's too late once it does happen. The latest one doesn't just encrypt your data, it encrypts the master boot record. And when that happens, you have access to absolutely nothing. The only thing you will ever see is this particular screen. It has a countdown timer. If you haven't paid them within the time frame that's outlined, that's it. Throw your hard drive in the garbage. You're finished and start from scratch. On the internet, you never ever know who the experts are. In this case, this person is in charge of weight loss, and this guy over here is the bodybuilder. What this points out is if you're on a chat, a video chat, do not believe the image that you see on the other side unless it happens to be a relative or a friend, somebody you actually know. If it's a total stranger, you can't depend or trust anything that you see or hear. If you like to be on a chat with strangers, then at least be smart enough and pick one of the actual dating sites. There's at least some background checks made before anybody is allowed to communicate on those sites. Don't do it out blind, because you could wind up with a lot of problems. These are just 6 of the social networks that our kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids use. And as you can see from here, all of them have some problems that if they don't take care of them, they're actually sharing all of their information with total strangers. By default, Facebook and all of these share everything publicly. You can go in and make changes, but remember that since things get hacked all the time, even when you say private, it isn't necessarily private forever. The only way not to share things on the internet is to never ever put it out onto the internet. Okay? People nowadays complain that I have security, but I have no privacy. Get used to it. If you're on the internet, you have no privacy. Even if you try to encrypt or hide, eventually somebody will be able to get to that information. Therefore, the simple rule is never share anything with anyone unless you're willing to share it with everyone. Social engineering on Facebook and all the other social networks happen all the time. Somebody gets you to click on a link because it's exciting, it's something you have to see, and then when you click on it, you get a surprise and says, oh, your video player isn't working with this particular special video that you wanted to see. You have to download ours. Well, that's not a video player that you're downloading, it's the infection, and you're the one that's actually letting it onto your computer. Also, when you see offers, click here and I'll give you 5,000 bucks. Bill Gates doesn't give any money away to private individuals. He gives away millions, but we aren't his charity. What would happen if you click on a link like that, they'll extract information from you. After all, they're willing to send you $5,000. How are they going to send it if they don't have the information to get to your bank? You will never see the money. Remember that the Nigerian scam is still flourishing today, and it's been around forever. There are always people who think they can get part of somebody's inheritance just by sending them a couple of $100 for expenses. You lose your couple of $100, you will never ever see any part of that inheritance. I've got hundreds of Facebook friends, and I've never ever met them. In the old days, we called those imaginary friends. Anytime you click that little button that says, click here to like me, whether it's an individual, a company, a product, you are sharing all of your information and all of your friends' information with that third party, okay? Now, it's one thing if you want to give your information away, but in this case, you not only give your information away, but all your friends that you have in Facebook. So be very careful and only share or like somebody you actually truly know. Protecting our computers is very simple. Doesn't matter if you have a Mac or you have a Windows computer. Avast protects both of them and can do it totally free of charge. Since I've never used anything except the free version of Avast, I augment it with other free programs from other companies. It's called Layered Protection. And these are some of the programs that I use. First one I install on any new computer is called Unchecky. Unfortunately nowadays, so you don't get writer's cramp. At the end of this, I share one simple link. Copy it. You'll have access to everything. And if that doesn't work, I'll be passing along a follow-up email, which I'm sure will be passed along to everyone. So you will wind up having access to it without getting writer's cramp. Anytime you install a free program, or let's rephrase it, many times when you install a free program, it comes along with some garbage. And if you're not using a custom install, it automatically gets installed on your computer. Unchecky does exactly that. It unchecks the box to install the garbage. It's constantly being updated. So anytime something new comes out that gets passed along that nobody wants, this will make sure it doesn't get to you. My advice still is, anytime you install something new, use a custom install. Then you get to see what's being installed, where it's being installed, and you get to uncheck anything you don't want installed. When you insert a USB drive, a memory card from a camera, anything you plug into your system, it can have viruses buried in the initial part when you first plug it in that automatically get passed along to your computer. McShield makes sure that that does not happen. Your antivirus program will automatically check any programs that you run off an external device. but it doesn't necessarily check the boot part of that device. That's what McShield does. Malwarebytes, Anti-Malware, an excellent companion to any antivirus program you happen to use, regardless of whose antivirus program you happen to use. CCleaner was originally called Crap Cleaner, designed to clean up the garbage left behind when you visit the internet or when you run any of the programs on your computer. I would suggest that you use the default settings in CCleaner. If you go in and start making changes in the part of the registry that gets cleaned, you could wind up with a system that isn't going to boot. Even though it makes a backup of the registry before it makes changes, if something got changed and prevents your system from booting, you won't be able to get to the backup. Default settings are 100% safe. It isn't until you start making changes that you could have a problem.
Question?
Yep.
So you're suggesting use the file cleaner part of it?
Yep.
With the default settings?
Yep.
But do not use the registry cleaner, correct?
The default settings in the registry part of this are also 100% safe, because it already has some stuff checked off. That's safe. But you can go in and you can make all kinds of changes in there. And if you do that, you could wind up with an unbootable system.
Okay, so in other words, you're saying that you could use the registry cleaner, but use
With the default settings, correct.
Okay.
Wind Patrol monitors for changes on your system. Wind Patrol also monitors your registry for changes. And the newer infections now work through the registry. It's another safeguard to keep those things from getting to you. Passwords. Is it meant to be your date of birth, your anniversary date, or some simple little thing because it's a pain in the neck to make up something complicated? A good password is made up of a combination of small letters, capital letters, numbers, symbols, and the longer you make it, the stronger it becomes, the longer it takes to crack it. If you're using a password manager, you only need to remember one password, and that's the password to get into your password manager. It's the one password that you need to write down someplace until it becomes embedded in your brain. Because if you forget it, no access to any of your passwords. You'll need to start all over again. A password manager can generate passwords, can fill in the information any place you need it, and the only way to do any changes within it is again to use the password that you made up to get into that password manager. The latest version of Avast now has a built-in password manager. I have always used LastPass, and since the new version now has something free in it for managing passwords, I also use it as a backup. So if LastPass decides not to work today, I have another, okay, and it's actually a duplicate, so they back each other up.
I didn't know that.
An excellent place to download programs from, where you're going to get nothing but safe programs with the garbage taken out of them, is called Night Night. And Night Night not only allows you to download clean programs, it also allows you to download more than one program at a time and automatically install them. When you go to their site and you pick out the programs you want, you check them all off and tell them, go ahead and download and install them. You can also use that same program or website, it's not a program, to update the programs that you've downloaded for them. So if there are updates to those programs and you come back a month later, it can automatically update the programs that you've installed. This is what I've used since 2003. New in this year is the password manager. New last year is a network scan. It checks your network for insecurities, your router, your modem, the overall network, and if it finds anything, it lets you know what it's found and tells you exactly what to do to fix it. Most people don't realize that their router has a built-in username and password, which is available through the internet. If I put in the make of your router, it will come back and tell me what the assigned username and password is. So if I park in front of your house, I can guess, because most people have only certain types of routers that they use anyway, the biggest ones, and I can just go ahead and, through the internet, go looking. And once I get into your system, I now control your system, okay? That network scan will let you know whether you've ever changed the password or not, and if you haven't, will show you exactly how it's done. And that's the most common way for people to access your home network. This is what it looks like. In this case, as you can see, it's checking a whole bunch of things. I had my smartphone attached to the computer at the time, so it also checked it to make sure there were no vulnerabilities on it.
I can't see any of them. Would you mention one or two?
Well, it checked my computer, it checked my router, it checked my printer, it checked, I use Magic Jack, so it's plugged in, it checked it,
Okay.
okay? It checked my smartphone. In my case, it didn't find any. I wonder why. There used to be a time when Avast was 100% free and you never ever saw a pop-up. Now you do on occasion see a pop-up. Actually, probably once per day you're going to see a pop-up. Sometimes just to give you information, sometimes because they would like you to buy the paid version. Avast is not a 501c3 corporation. It depends on purchases in order to make money to pay their programmers and to have a healthy business. I've now used it since 2003, so that's 13 years. And once in a while to click that little X in the corner, that's pretty cheap trade-off for continuing to get excellent protection totally free of charge. Avast is rated as very top of the list when it comes to protection. You can get Microsoft Defender. It won't give you any pop-ups, but you can also see where it's rated as far as protection goes. Okay, and this is not a Avast rating. These are ratings from AV Comparatives. These are the latest. Yes?
There's a Microsoft Security Essentials, I think it's called. It comes with the Windows 7 appear in that chart.
That's the same thing. Defender, in Windows 8 and 10, it's called Defender, and it's a combination of Security Essentials and Defender.
Okay.
Defender being the malware part, Security Essentials being the antivirus, okay?
Yeah.
They combine it now as one product in 8 and in 10.
Yeah, Defender's always been kind of useful since.
Well, it's better than nothing. I will give Microsoft credit for that. If you have nothing else on your system, at least you now have something. Not the greatest, but it's better than nothing, okay? Avast also makes business-grade protection available, totally free of charge. So if you have a business, you can get your protection for your systems directly from Avast, free of charge. You administer it through the internet, so it makes no difference where the computers in that business are located. Avast also offers free protection for schools, colleges, and libraries. The average school spends about $14,000 a year on protection, and they can save that money and use it to further education. That's actually the only thing that Avast asks for. Don't use it to pay somebody's salary, use it to enhance education. Tablets and smartphones are not little toys. My smartphone is actually smarter than my laptop, but I can see my laptop. I need some help seeing my smartphone, okay? But it is smarter, it contains just as much information, yes.
If I plug in and I'm running an Avast, which I have,
Mhm.
and I plug my smartphone in there, it'll automatically check it out too? Or do
It
I
will
have?
check, no, it will check the router part, the internet security
Okay.
part, as far as it being stealth and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
There is a separate program, that's what we're going to cover now. And what Avast offers is protection for those of you that use an Android device. If you're using an iOS device, Avast doesn't yet have one for an iOS device, but I will tell you what to use in place of it. Like I said, people treat smartphones like toys. And they are writing more infections for smartphones than they are for computers, because more people are now simply staying with their smart devices. They're not buying as many laptops, certainly not as many desktops as they used to. Once installed, number one, make sure you get it through the Google Store. Never install an app unless it's come through the store. There are many programs out there that they'll tell you, hey, this doesn't work through the store. You have to load it, side load it, or load it through the back door. What they're telling you is, hey, we got a great program and we'd like to infect your system with it, okay? It doesn't guarantee if it comes through the store that it might not still be something that's rogue, but the chances are much less coming through the store than they are if you get it the other way. This is what mobile security can do for you.
We know that Avast protects your computer, but more important, threats can follow you wherever you go. Well, Avast will be tracking.
Okay.
All these things for you. Of course, there's real-time protection against infected apps and phishing websites. But we've also added really cool anti-theft protection. So if you lose your phone, you can easily find it wherever it is. If some monkey steals your phone, you can remotely listen to the lead's conversation. And if the monkey is really clever and tries to change the SIM card, you will immediately be notified what the new number is. And for good measure, you can remotely set off the siren. This phone has been lost or stolen. More on Avast.com/Android.
You're the only one that can start that siren, and you're the only one that can shut it up. Someone steals it, the second they turn on the device, that's what will greet them. And the only way for them to turn it off is to turn off the device. Once they turn off the device, there's nothing they can do to steal any information from it. You can also use that siren if you misplaced your smart device someplace in the house. Just go to another, like your laptop or anything else that's connected to the internet, send the code, and I guarantee you will find that device. You can do many other things besides the siren. You can even totally, utterly destroy that device so that you leave the thief with nothing more than a paperweight. Make sure before you send that command, you have actually verified that the device is totally gone and will never come back to you. For the ladies, make sure that the smartphone isn't sitting in a pocketbook in the closet, because once you issue that command, there's no recovery. For those of you that use an iOS device, I've been told by those on the support forum that Lookout is an excellent product. I have no way of testing it. I don't own an iOS device. Eventually, Avast is finally going to have one. They're still working on it. They don't yet have an antivirus program for your iOS devices. What Avast does have available for those of you that have an iOS device, totally free of charge, is what's called Avast Secure Me, which is a VPN, Virtual Private Network. designed for those of you that use public Wi-Fi and still need to do your regular banking, shopping, whatever. Something that needs to be secure, something that you normally would only do from a secure network. A VPN will encrypt all the information before it leaves your device and doesn't unencrypt it until it gets to its destination. Therefore, if somebody intercepts that information, they will have garbage encrypted. They don't have a key. There's no way for them to decipher what's being said. It can also hide your identity. Sometimes you have restrictions on movies. You can't see them unless you happen to be in a certain country. Well, you can now be in any part of the world because it has service all over the world. It's also available for those of us that have an Android device or a laptop or a desktop, but the only ones that get it for free are those on iOS devices. Everybody else has to pay for it. Anytime you install an app, be careful, check and see what permission it asks for. I use this one as a good example. We all have a flashlight on our smartphone. And what it needs permission to use is your camera, because it uses the flash part of your camera to become the flashlight. This particular one, privacy flashlight, when you install it, you can see here what you grant it as far as access, and it says one thing, camera. That's it, nothing else. This particular one, which deems itself as the brightest LED flashlight, not only needs access to your camera, but it also wants access to your address book, wants to be able to communicate through the internet. It asks for all kinds of things. The sad part is that that thing has got thousands and thousands of installs. People don't check. Why does something that only needs access to your camera have to communicate with the outside world? Okay? You have no way of knowing what they're doing with the information they're gathering off from your smartphone. Only grant access that the particular item actually needs. If it doesn't need access to the internet, don't grant it. Find another product that will do its job by just using the actual part that it needs. Don't give them more access than they have to have. If you do, and you wonder...
The flashlight does come on the phone though, generally.
Not always.
Okay.
Not always, okay? And you have to make sure that the access you grant is only for the camera. Okay. If it wants to communicate with the outside world or share the information in your address book, why?
Yeah.
Okay? Yes?
I can confirm that not all these phones come with the flashlight app. I was up Cleveland this last weekend and attending a dance recital with my niece. I wanted to have a flashlight on my phone so I could look at the program because it was dark in the auditorium. I installed a flashlight app from the had a lot of ads on it.
Yep.
And so I uninstalled it after the program, but I think there are a lot of...
If you want a flashlight, get the privacy flashlight, because the only thing it does is use your camera. That's it, nothing else. Tan lines of the next generation. In case you're wondering how come you have so many stomach problems right now, it's because you're swallowing too many campaign lies. One of the problems I have every 4 years. Phone scams have become more prevalent. Every day somebody winds up with a phone call. I'm from Microsoft. We discovered a virus on your computer. You're infecting our customers. We want to help you clean up your computer. All you need to do is grant us access to your computer and we'll do all the work for you. Right.
Yeah, Jim loves those guys.
Oh, I do too. I keep them on the phone for hours.
That's me.
And And the reason I do that is very simple. While they're on the phone with me getting nothing, they aren't going to be on the phone with somebody else stealing their information. Plain and simple, okay? Remember, it's a phone call. You are in full control. All you need to do is hang it up. Once that's done, the scam is over. Yes?
I had a kind of cross from Florida one time, and I managed to find out the weather there, the conditions of the road. It took an hour to tell me all the good stuff down there.
Yep. And he got no information from you. That's the important part.
Guess what? That phone call never did come back again.
I can ttell you, if you tell them, oh no, I don't have a Windows computer, I have a Mac, then sometime down the road, you'll get a call from somebody, I'm from Apple, we discovered a virus on your Mac, okay?
One of my favorites is, hello, police department, what direction do you want me to face your call?
Tell them you got a Chromebook. Hang up on you.
Scammers pose as big name companies. They call or send pop-up messages to scare you about the security of your computer.
Very hard to hear, sorry.
In your area, your computer has been affected. First, download the software to activate the dangerous program. They're good at pretending to be someone they're not because they want something that isn't theirs. More money. No matter what they say, they haven't found anything wrong with your machine. They just want you to pay for software and tech support services you don't need. If someone pressures you, slow down and think it through. Don't give out your financial information. And don't let anyone take control of your computer. Report imposter scams to ftc.gov/imposters.
Not that reporting it is going to do any good, but they keep a database. And if enough people report a certain particular company, they might just act on it, okay? There's no guarantees. A simple rule every computer user needs to learn: when things don't work just right and you have tried all the tricks, have done searches, and they told you all kinds of things to try and it still doesn't work right, before you spend the money and send it into the shop, turn off the device and totally disconnect it from the electricity. Which means if it's a laptop, you'll have to open up the back and take out the battery. Then wait a few minutes. Once you hook it back up to the juice and turn it back on, you'll probably find out that your problem has totally disappeared. It's certainly worth the 5 minutes of your time, because if you send it to the shop, I guarantee you that is the first thing they will try. And if it works, hey, $179.95 for 5 minutes worth of work is an excellent profit margin. That same thing also works for your router. When you have problems with internet access and you can't lay your finger on it, you've tried all the fixes, unplug it. Wait a couple of minutes and plug it back in, wait for all the lights to start up again. Probably your problem will be solved. We don't turn off our devices anymore like we used to in the old days. I know some people that never turned their device off and they've had it on for months. The biggest hassle with systems is called power surge. That's what kills them. And turning them off and on is the biggest power surge your device ever gets. So it's actually safer to leave it on than it is to turn it off and turn it back on. And they use very, very little electricity when they're in sleep mode or in hibernation. Reading is important, but comprehension is what you need to learn. If not, it's no fun to brush your teeth with preparation H. Just because you read something doesn't necessarily mean it's sunk into our brain. If you're not sure, read it a second time, okay? Just so you don't fall for a scam that's been nicely worded to help that you bypass it. This is what my house looked like the second week in December. I moved from New York to New Mexico to get away from snow and cold. I posted this picture on Facebook, and my brother, who still lives in New York, came back to me and said, "Listen, dummy, we got 70 degrees over here." Of course, it didn't take long, because a couple of weeks afterwards, New York got totally, utterly bogged down with snow and cold weather. However, at that time, this is what I faced at home.
That day, I had dandelions blooming in my backyard.
Yes. Yep. Wife texts husband on the cold winter morning. Windows frozen, won't open. Husband texts back, gently pour some lukewarm water over it, and gently tap the edges with a hammer. Wife texts back 5 minutes later. Computer is really messed up now. What this points out is if you're texting with someone, make sure you're both on the same topic. Otherwise, you could have some very nasty results. If you learned something today, if you enjoyed the presentation, please let Gracie at Avast know about it. That's how these presentations continue. If you didn't like it, you may also tell her that. It is important to let Avast know that these things are doing some good. They're the ones that pay all of my bills. I don't work for Avast. The arrangement I have is simple. Second I leave home till I get back, they pay every dime of my expenses. In January, the Florida Association of Computer Users had a technology cruise, which means I got to go on a cruise to do some presentations. I needed some help, so my wife Alice got to go with me. And Avast got to pay the whole tab. Okay? For somebody on Social Security, it's a great way to travel. I've done more traveling in the last 5 years than I did in the first 70 years of my life. I recently said to Avast, listen, I expected this thing to last maybe a year at most. We've now completed 5 years. How much longer is this going to continue? I got almost an immediate reply. They said, you aren't sick? You're not planning to die, are you? I said, no. Well, when you can't do it anymore, that's when we'll stop it.
Wow, you must be doing a great job.
Somebody must like me, yes. If you know of any other clubs, organizations, churches, synagogues, any group of computer users that benefits from a presentation, contact me directly. I'd be happy to arrange a program for them. There is never a charge to the club or its members for my services, because I have no expenses. Avast pays all of the expenses.
When's your next cruise?
Hopefully in February.
You volunteered to be the helper?
No, I already have a volunteer. Right now she's in New York. Her dad had his 97th birthday yesterday. Yeah, so she's in New York, I'm in Ohio. She'll be home before I will.
You're talking about the treasurer of your...
The treasurer of my fans club, yes. Yes, she's been my treasurer for the last 56 years. This is the link I said I would share at the end. I use Google to shorten a long, long link because this is actually a document on my Google Drive. And the reason I use Google to shorten the link is because it actually checks any link it shortens for malicious code. If it finds something malicious, it won't shorten the link. If you use Bitly or something else, they couldn't care less what that link goes to. They just shorten it. Make sure on here the last two characters are a capital I and a capital Q. Again, if you copy it wrong or don't copy it, you'll still wind up getting it because I send out the follow-up information. Anyone have any questions?
SIQ or Q?
Excuse me?
SIQ is the last part of it?
Small s, capital I, capital Q.
I'd like to make a statement about your statement about the powering the computers and devices on and off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it used to be years and years and years ago ago, when they came out with the type power supplies we're using these computers, turning them on and off, well, yeah, that stress them, but we cycle them hundreds of times and never have a problem.
Right.
And I always come to my computer all at night. I never ever leave it on. And I've been doing that for like 15 years, and I've never had a problem. So, and even if it's turned off, but not unplugged, there's still
have
lots.
trickle. Yes.
Yeah. So, and people leave them on all the time. I always tell them, turn it off when you're not using it. It's so much better. So, you know, like I say, it used to be, there was a stress on it, but now the modern power supplies just don't have a problem with cycling on and off.
But you have to also remember, you're talking about something like a laptop. Even if you unplug it, you still haven't been turned it off. You still haven't totally turned it off.
Well,
and when you start having a problem, we need to get rid of build up garbage that programs like CCleaner can't get rid of. The only way to get rid of it is to totally disconnect from juice. That cleans it out and then bring it back up. Okay, that's the only difference. Some things actually require that you totally, utterly shut it down. And that's only done when you totally unplug it from any source of electricity.
Well, and I turn off my
surge.
Surge protector too.
Yep. Surge protected on your box, yes. On a desktop, yes. On a laptop, no, because the battery is in there.
Well, yeah, right. Absolutely.
Anyone else have a question? Yes, ma'am.
I put Avast on my tablet and my phone. And for a long time it worked just like it does on my computer. And then all of a sudden it started saying that my Netgear may be dangerous. Meaning my router.
Yeah.
Now other people who have used like a Kindle in my home or another phone in my home or another tablet in my home have never had that come up.
Probably because when you set up your router, you used and still use the default settings with that router. Unless you go in and change the username and the password, or at least one of those two things, anyone who goes on the internet can find out what the username and password are and can actually get into your router and start doing things to your system, okay? That's why it's telling you there is a danger. Doesn't mean you have to do something, but it's making you aware of the fact, hey, you are leaving yourself accessible to somebody from the outside. And your router is your first base into your network.
Okay. Well, why aren't they getting the same notification that I was on my tablet and my phone?
They may not be using a program that checks the network for security. They don't all do that. Okay? They have to actually look at the router to see what its settings are. Know whether or not the ports are stealth, know whether or not you have something other than the default username and password. Because they're not checking to see what the password is, they're checking to see whether or not they can access it using the default. But if they're capable, then you've got a problem, or a potential problem.
Even though the person with the Kindle had Avast on it, they still didn't get the...
Are they using the latest version? You probably are, they may not. I don't know. Without actually looking at it, I can't tell you. Okay?
Okay. Can you tell me after the meeting how to change my password?
Well, the program itself will tell you how to get in and change it. Because you have to log into your router and change it through the router.
So, how do I approach that then? I've got a net.
Bring it in, John will help you.
If you don't have it, you don't have a problem.
Most of us, how are you connected?
Just from the modem.
They automatically are running in the background. Yeah. but they constantly run in the background.
It's all free service.
Just so you know, your antivirus program, especially Avast, is constantly on guard. I do one check.
Is that the one for my Android?
That's the one.
Where do you check this in the free?
There's only a free one available for your Android device. There's no pay.
And then there are other people who.
Not on the Android. It's a free one. Okay, don't click on the button that says upgrade. Only update, upgrade. Upgrade means I want to donate. Update means keep it current. Okay? Any other questions?
Explain this,
Yeah.
Explain it. It's a USB device. This little thing in here toggles out, and that's what you plug in. I can take it out and show you.
Does it have any AVAS programs on it?
No, it's got nothing on it.
Okay.
It's an 8 gig USB drive.
Donated by AVAS for our door prizes, 2 of them. It's a fancy little credit card, AKA USB thumb drive.
Oh, that one's nicely protected.
Yeah, we don't want that. 2 of them to be given away. If you're a winner and you'd like one of these, tell me and whatever we're offering, we'll substitute.
There it is.
What does it do,
It's an
please?
8 gig thumb drive.
It's an 8 thumb drive, like a little credit card.
This is only its protection, okay?
You can carry it in your wallet or your
Yeah,
purse.
that's what I do. I have it in the wallet. What I have on here is Windows 10, 32, and 64-bit. So when one of my seniors comes in at the senior center and they want to have it installed, I can easily do that with the thumb drive. You could theoretically just pull this thing out of here. This is the thumb drive. This is nothing. It's just protection. Okay?
Wow.
I like that.
Thank you. Okay.
I guess that was free too.